I coach moms raising kids with autism because I am a mom raising a kid with autism. And as being a parent of a child with, let's say, big emotions, one of the things that we learn very early on is all of the things that we can do to help our children regulate themselves. But we're never taught that for ourselves at all. And so that is a really huge missed opportunity, and it leads to a lot of suffering for the parent. In my quest to get better at this mom thing and finding life coaching, I was so drawn to your work with the nervous system and the self-regulation. I went through the life coach school certification, and I really liked the model, the cognitive piece, but at the same time, it was missing something for me in the sense it wasn't resonating with my felt experience of thoughts create our feelings, and they do, but there was something else happening when this energy with my son and I, especially during COVID, during the pandemic, we were in a 2-bedroom apartment. There was a lot of anxiety on his end from the virtual learning. And so I always felt like my heart was in my chest before anyone said or did anything. And so I was trying to unpack that and figure that out. So when I started Anchored, I was just really like, oh, this is like a master's course that I'm going to take with Vic about somatics. And I'm not codependent. I don't really have any of these issues. So it'll be interesting. To like really humbling myself to like, yeah, no, you do have these tendencies, and to see myself in all of these stories that I thought were so unlike me. And so it made me more coachable, which for me is really important because I want to be coachable, but I'm going to admit, like, yeah, I'm an attorney. I've been through a lot of schooling. I went to the coach training. So there's somewhere in the back of my mind, if I already know this or I should know this. And so being in that container was like just being able to drop that pretense and just be. So somatics now is what I go to first. Before, I would always be looking for like, what am I thinking? What am I, trying to do like a model on it, right? Like as we're taught. But now I was just always going into my body first. Like if I feel like my shoulders up against my ears, it's like, oh, something's happening here. Like, what can I do to relax? Like for me, the breathing is just a really big one for me. Like it is the thing, because I can feel that I'm always like kind of holding my breath when I'm in a lot of anxiety. So I'm always just going back to the deep breathing and to like the anchoring into my body, into the chair, and just like those like little things that you taught us that are really effective, like the actual way it's delivered. So you do it through a lot of audio, and that is so accessible. I could easily say, no, I don't have time for this because I'm a single mom, because my kid has a complex need, but that's never the reason. Right? Because I could find myself just as easily scrolling on my phone, thinking of all of the attention that you put outside of yourself onto other people, into their needs, and just turning a bit of that into yourself and like making that your project. Like if that's all you did, like within Anchor, to say like, I'm going to do this because I'm committing to myself, you would get so much out of that experience. And then all of the wisdom from Anchored as well. If you've never invested in yourself, the decision to invest in yourself is the first investment that you make in yourself. I mean, that is the game changer right then and there. It's like you decide what you want to get out of it, and you have agency over that. And that in of itself is empowering. Like the making the decision itself is transformational. That's one. And then two, the cognitive piece. Look, I've done cognitive therapy before, and there is a place for it, but I've never went into cognitive therapy with a goal in mind, right? Like with real goals and like a real roadmap. And that's what you get in Anchored. It's like, what are you here for? What's your intention? And what are the steps there? And they're provided to you. And then you get this like amazing catalog of information and resources like for 6 months. I mean, do you remember any of that from therapy? Like I remember maybe a sentence I heard like one time, and it was from a marriage counselor actually, right? Like that's what I remember from therapy, not much. And so it's not really anything I've ever integrated into my life. It didn't have like, a lasting impact. And I think that's the difference. Like this isn't so you can talk about your problems. This is so you can change your life, how you change the way you think about things, the way you show up, and the way you want to be. Anchored will get you through so much of that. It will give you the tools that you need to make decisions for yourself on purpose. Plus, you get the somatic piece, and you get to take that for the rest of your life. So you're not investing in 6 months, you're investing in the rest of your life. That's with the thought work, that's with the somatic work, that's with the family, that's with Vic. It's not 6 months, it's however much longer you're here.